Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi, YouTube. Hi, Instagram. Welcome back to the Eden Idol podcast. Yes, so we're back again with our relationship series, which has been, for lack of a better word, juicy, gisty. Last week we were talking about relationships. We were talking about intimacy. It got very heated. I enjoyed it. And this week we are going to be continuing our conversation on relationships and just, talking about what your priorities are in relationship, who your priorities should be in relationship, and how do you strike the balance between your partner, your friends, your commitments, your personal ambitions. It should be a good conversation. So, you guys ready to get into it?
I am so ready for this.
Ready.
Yes,
So ready.
So, I can't start a conversation without asking how my friends are. I'm not going to lie. I can't do it. I cannot do it. So how are you, friends?
Oh, good. I'm good.
Good.
I'm good.
All good. We
Good.
survived the rail strike.
Oh, don't.
We made it in one piece.
Yeah.
One
day when opportunity allows, I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
I had a 3-hour journey to work, which really
Listen.
It showed me some things about myself. So it was interesting to say the least, but I think we should get into the conversation.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Cool. So as you guys can tell by the title, I think what's the title? I choose my partner over my friends any day.
Yep.
We'll be,
That was a strong yep.
Yeah.
Very strong.
We'll be really testing some people's characters.
I didn't even realize it was so strong. But
Yeah, I don't know whether I'm allowed to say this. Tolu's behind the camera again today.
Hello.
Yeah. So
If you
Tolu,
wanna
I
see
might
him.
put you on blast here, but I'll try to leave out names. The reason why we're having this specific conversation is because of an example that Tolu gave us while we're having some conversations. I'll try and not.
We won't put any names.
Yeah. So Tolu was given an example of one of his friends who got into a relationship, and they used to. Come on,
No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Yo.
Okay.
Don't do that.
Yo.
So, I will try and make this short. Sorry, there's a lot of feedback. So Tolu was saying there was 3 of them, 2 guys and a girl. The other guy and girl started dating, and all of a sudden, Tolu felt really left out of this, and he felt like his friend changed. His male friend changed.
Yeah.
And clearly he had prioritized his relationship over his friendship with Tolu. So, guys, what do you feel about this?
Yeah. I mean, Tolu's specific example was about like them going to the cinema or something, right?
Yes.
So
Okay, we're just shedding more light on this.
I feel like in the example that you gave anyway, sometimes there are things that you will just tend to now do with your partner, right? Because you're trying to get to know them. It's new, it's fresh. It's like time to do stuff with that person, right? Like I do understand also not like still having your friends as your friends and doing the things that you like to do on your own with your peoples. But sometimes it's unfortunate. Some of your friends, especially if they're married already, they've already been through this whole beginning stage. Sometimes I feel like sometimes your married friends don't understand that you're just going through the beginning phase of your relationship. Like they've been there, done that, and now they're settled in a place where they're doing their own thing. And because you're the single one, you're able to do things with them as well. And so now when you now get a partner, they are like, oh, now you've changed because you're no longer with me all the time.
Oh wait, so you
Dude,
have the
you're
problem,
married, bro.
Is the problem comes from your married friends? Because traditionally the problem comes from the single friends.
Yeah.
Sometimes single friends, you know, but I feel like a lot of my single friends, I just have different pockets of friends. I mean, I've been through this before, but yeah, no, I was just talking generally. By the way, please, I beg.
You're gonna get some weird messages.
Generally. But I do think that is sometimes the case, because it's not only single friends. Sometimes you're not the single friend, are you? And you're feeling some type of way. You're the married friend. So I was really.
I wasn't married at the time. I was the single friend at the time.
Oh,
No, but I think
I
the
thought this
thing
was
is-
recent.
No.
Oh,
Who has time to be feeling petty about going to the cinema? I've got 3 kids. I am not going to be feeling petty about
I
that
was
now.
thinking, when are these cinema dates, bro?
No. I ain't got time for that now. But back then, when hanging out with my friends was my life, I did kind of feel a little bit of a way.
Yeah, I think I've probably been guilty of it, to be fair, of maybe
Oh, you're that friend.
being. I've probably been guilty. I've been told that that's what I do, even though I didn't agree with it. I have been told before that, oh, you just forget about us and da, da, da. And I was like, no, I don't. But please understand that this is new. I'm enjoying this time. Can you also understand it as well from that side? I'm really not trying to, but I think it also growth as well, really. I'm not really that person anymore, I don't think.
So, okay, sorry.
I just wanted to clarify the question, because I think we kind of just went.
We did.
I just let's talk. The question is, and for those who are listening, who should become your priority when you get into a relationship, right? So let's discuss.
Jesus.
Okay. I know that's right.
Tell me something different.
I think naturally, because you are, like Thaddeus was saying, you're on this in this beginning stage and on this journey of, you know, getting to know someone and growing with them and getting closer over time, that naturally opens you up to spending more time with them. And, you know, sometimes you're going to have to do that at, I don't want to say at the expense, but sometimes that will make you prioritize spending more time with them over spending time with people that probably you already have built a relationship with, you already know to a certain extent. But that doesn't mean that you should now forget your people or like neglect them or forget them. I think it's just different stages in life calls for different amounts of energy and different amounts of time. And especially like it's like with a newborn, you know, a newborn requires a lot more attention in their newborn stages than they do when they're older, when they're a toddler or a young kid. It's like that in a relationship. Well, similar. I wouldn't say it's exactly like that, but similar, if you get what I'm trying to say. Like, you need to pay more attention, especially in the beginning stages.
But I think the problem is, like, I completely understand. There's absolutely no way that you can build a relationship with someone new to get them to the point where you where you have that level of intimacy that you have with your friends, right? You need to devote a certain amount of time to them, definitely. But the problem comes when you then forget about everyone else.
Yes, that's the problem.
And you lose yourself in devoting yourself to this person or this relationship. And that happens even in the example that you gave of newborns. Parents are sometimes guilty of forgetting who they are and forgetting the people around them in that phase of their life. And I think that's really dangerous. Especially, you know, if the relationship doesn't work out, where is your support network if that doesn't work out? And we're not saying, obviously, we don't want a relationship not to work out, but I think it's important to remember the people who are around you. And I don't know whether you guys have had experiences of like having friends who just completely go ghost, and then all of a sudden they want a shoulder to cry on, and it's like, hey.
Yeah.
I mean, I will always be there for you, but I'll look at you sideways because where were you in the last 3-4 years? Do you get what I mean? So
Whoa,
I
that's
think
a long time.
Okay, that's excessive. It's excessive, but yeah. I think just don't lose who you are and don't burn bridges, basically.
I get you.
And I guess a practical way around that is like at some point you should be intentional about introducing your
partner,
friends
yeah.
to your partner. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be like a
100%.
secret relationship. I believe in privacy because not everyone needs to know your
Everything,
business. But secrecy, is that really healthy? Is that really safe for you? Like you should be wanting your friends and your family to know, you know, this is the person I'm developing a relationship with. So that kind of will help you not be siloed into
In a bubble.
yeah, just this me and this person kind of thing.
Can I just ask? Because obviously, yes, we know in a new relationship you're interested in that person.
He's about to say
No, 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 no.
something.
No, I'm just trying to,
Okay.
I'm just trying to get to the, because there's a surface level part of this conversation, but then there's the part where like it causes rifts between people and their friends, people and their families. So I want to get to that part because I think that's the real problem when you have examples of, you know, when your partner thinks this is the way that you should live your life and, you know, your family or your friends say this is the way you should live your life, and kind of what's the right balance in terms of kind of knowing who it's not just like who you prioritize, it's like who you trust more, who becomes your person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it probably comes down to where you are in the relationship. I think if you and your family are having or your partner and your family are having a difference in opinion about certain things or how you should live your life, I think at a certain point in your relationship, and I think certainly when you're married, probably a bit before that, the feelings of your partner should probably take priority over that
What?
of your extended.
Wait, at the
Depends
beginning.
on what it is.
No.
She
Not
said
at
that-
the beginning.
she said it-
I
it
said
depends
probably
on where
definitely
it
when you're
is.
married,
Yeah.
and maybe a bit before you're married. I think you probably have to place a higher value on. And as I'm saying this, I'm struggling with it, but you probably have to place a higher value on what you and your partner are trying to build, as opposed to what your family is trying to say that you should do. That makes sense.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
guys need to
It
find
makes
your own
sense.
That does
relationship.
make sense.
Basically,
Because
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
creating a family, your own nuclear family. You know,
So-
so
Just to challenge and test,
Yeah, go on.
because I think, like you just mentioned, nuclear family. I think that's a fairly new concept
Okay.
in a lot of.
you must leave
Within
your
the-
leave
No,
your
no, but I understand what you're saying. But like I'm just saying, like I think if now we're the circle of trust or the allegiance is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Like back in the day, you had a responsibility to your community. You know, I even think potentially even biblically, like some of the rules and regulations were there to prioritize the community as opposed to just you and yours. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think I understand what you're trying to say, but it's like saying you and this person is the most important thing. And I don't know if that's necessarily true. I do it right now in my relationship, but let's not take it for granted that that's the right thing to do.
I don't think you do that though.
Okay.
Not like
Wait,
that.
wait,
No,
wait.
and I don't mean that. I didn't mean that negatively. I mean, you obviously have your relationship and your own nuclear family. But if somebody comes to you, you're going to be. You don't say, oh, sorry, I'm doing something with Steph. If you are, then the people who are in your community understand that, because that's obviously your family, right? But I don't feel like you push anybody away or you won't help anybody. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Okay,
you
so-
still take care of the community.
We're giving it into an extreme example, right? So we're talking about prioritization, right? So if I had only £20 and there was a need in my community and Steph had a need, and Steph, she wouldn't because she's a good person. But if she told me, no, Tolu, I want you to do it, spend this on me, I would spend it on Steph. Even if I thought that the community need was greater than my need. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not all the way there yet, but I do think,
Is that what
in
you
that
should be
example,
doing?
is that the right thing to do?
But
Like,
I feel like I do that as well. I choose my closest before I choose the extended. If you know, like I 100%. If Pam needed it over someone that's outside of my direct circle, I'm looking to help Pam or even Darius like before I help out there. Even if I could see them in a more comfortable position, I'll most probably still say if Pam was like, no, but I want this. I'm like, cool. Here.
So can I
But
give?
do you know
Can I
if
give?
there was a-
Should
if there
we
was
give
a-
examples to
Wait,
make this real?
Wait, before you do that, but I feel like in a relationship, right? If there was a need that you guys saw in the community, right? Like, and it was a need that was really a need. You only had that £20, and there was a need,
If it was a
but
dire
your
need, then
partner
yeah.
said that they wanted something. I feel like there would be a conversation that would happen between you,
Yeah,
surely,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you would say, "Okay, babe." I don't know why I laughed like that, but okay, babe. Like, I know that you want this thing, but there is something that I have seen in the community that so and so has asked for my help, or I can see that they need our help, not even our help in this thing. And then together, either your partner's gonna be like, nah, fam, nah, I want this. You know, like, we really need this. They're going to present their case for why they really need it or want it or whatever. Or they'll say, which your wives are very much so, you know, we know them, we love them. They would say, all right, cool. Let's,
Yeah.
like, depending on what it was,
So
they would
okay,
probably
you're painting
say,
an ideal
But that's
situation
an-
and
that's
what
how-
it should
that's how
be,
wives are, innit?
Yeah.
but that's
They
not.
would
every-
probably.
Yeah, everybody's not living in that ideal situation.
that's what
There
I'm
are-
saying, but that's why the communication portion is, I mean, I feel like the ideal situation would be that you would communicate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
would
yeah,
be
yeah.
the
Well,
ideal
so-
situation. So are you saying?
So no, the question is, you've communicated. There's an impasse. There's a difference of opinion, which
Now-
happens.
okay,
So
yep.
which do you prioritize? The needs of your
Boy,
partner
it's-
or the needs of your family or your friends or your community? I've
have
had
to
like, should we use some practical examples just so that this stops being theoretical? Because I've had an example where someone asked me for some money. It wasn't that Steph wanted that money, but she didn't want me to give that person money because I'd given them money before and they'd come back again and again and again.
Yes.
And she was saying, don't do it. I don't think it's wise, blah, blah, blah. I still thought, no, I can't leave this person who's a friend of mine. If they've asked, I just have to give. And the question was, who should I kind of listen to in this moment? Or should I listen to what I think is right or
Your wife.
my wife?
I feel
You have
like
to
you
apply
live with your wife. boy.
wisdom in these situations, because what you don't want to do is, for the sake of you being noble and helping someone else, you're now creating more division and problems in your home, which is your first ministry. Like, that is,
Yeah,
it is your first ministry.
True.
And
Okay, wait,
I
wait.
feel like even if you do believe that, you know,
First
God has
ministry.
placed it on your heart to help someone or to meet a need in the community, you and your spouse have to be agreed on that. And whether it takes like a few conversations or whether it takes like a few like back and forths until you reach that consensus, I don't think any decisions should be made on that front.
So can I
Because what it's going to cause division in your relationship.
Can I give another example? So there's this lady who she's a very like well-known evangelist now, and she felt that God told her to go and evangelize. Her church was behind it. You know, her community said, yes, we feel like you're being sent to this place. Her husband said no, because she was going overseas. Like, no, this is going to affect our family in a mad way that I'm not into. Don't do it. You can't go. And she prayed. She spoke to the partner. She tried to do it. But this was real, right? Like, this is what she felt God was telling her to do. And the question was, do I follow my heart, my community, my calling, or listen to my partner? She went to the place and she did it. And she says actually, you guys were on Bible study. This isn't my story. This is Bookie's story that shared it with us. Anyways, the lady actually went, they got a divorce, her and her
Wow.
husband. But that was the beginning of
That escalated
her
quickly.
ministry that was world changing. And now she's remarried, and this new husband is fully supportive of this ministry. And the reason that I'm talking about her is because obviously it's been successful and she's inspiring millions of people. And to her, it's like, this was the right thing to do.
But do you think that it is because it was spreading the word? It was being, do you know what I mean? It's like, don't let people stop you from spreading the word, basically. But if it was like a monetary issue, do you think that he would have had the same vim for it still?
I think we could talk about different scenarios and different things. I think I'm just trying to get to the fundamental.
I don't think that there's one answer though, because each situation you've just said, I still can't get my head out around. Well, you kind of we can always have an opinion on something, right? When you're now in it, it's a little bit different, isn't it? Like you might say in that situation, some people would say, no, she should have stayed with her husband. Some people would say, no, she should have. And like, there's arguments on both that would be, probably right? So I don't know if we can really, until you're in there, right? You're right there. You might not know what to do or what God wants you to do.
But I feel like it's the fact of living with regret after the fact. In her case, if you are living with regret after the fact of not going.
I think with the second example that you gave, I think you might argue that with the first example, there's an element of being obedient to what God has told you to do within your community. But I think when there's a direct call in that you feel that you're being called to do, the question then is, should this person really stand in the way of you obeying what you feel God is asking you to do? And I personally, I'm of the opinion that if you are both Christians and you're both walking with God, I generally do think that God should be speaking to both of you, right? So if God is speaking to her and not necessarily him, or God is speaking to him and he doesn't want to obey, I don't know what the answer to this. I don't know what I would do, but I think that second opinion, the fundamental thing is that she was trying to be obedient to what God was asking her to do. But I don't know where that leaves your marriage.
Yeah.
This just highlights to me the importance of, like, before you get married, just knowing that you are aligned to someone. And I always say this, someone that is aligned to your purpose, someone that's not going to quench your fire, someone that's not going to take you in a completely different direction, because that's what it came to. If he was like fully behind and supportive of and aware that, this is what God has called my wife to be, like an evangelist and a preacher, and she's going to like travel the world. If he went into that marriage with that awareness, I'm sure this wouldn't have been a problem.
But that you don't always know necessarily the extent to which or to where God is calling you when you go into marriage. You can have an idea of, these are the things I would like to do with my life, and this might be what I think my purpose is, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you know absolutely everything.
That's true, but you have some sort of idea or some sort of like centrality of, this is what I feel like, this is the direction that I feel like God is calling me into. So what form that takes can vary. Where it takes me like in 5-10 years time can vary, but like knowing someone that knows that I know that this is the road that I'm walking, like it's either you're in that direction and walking alongside me, or like this is not.
But I don't think that's always necessarily true. So I give my parents as an example, right? When maybe it's a bit different because my dad wasn't necessarily a Christian when they got married, but there are people who you enter into a season of your life, you're both Christians. My dad's now a pastor. My mum would never ever have wanted that for her life, right? Okay, maybe let me not talk for myself. I'm projecting here, but I could not see myself being with someone who at this point in their life was like, I'm going to be a pastor, right? It's just not what I want for my life.
Yes.
But who knows where life will take
you. Yeah.
And I don't know how I'd react to that, Bim, honestly. I don't think we'll get a divorce, but
That's a good example, because I was thinking of that example.
He might have never seen himself with an evangelist like that. Like,
so you don't know where they were when they got married.
To be here.
Yeah,
that's a fair point.
Because the thing behind this conversation was around how not to make your partner an idol, right?
We're getting into that.
Oh, sorry.
No, continue.
Sorry, so
No,
I
That
guess
was him.
it's a
That
good
was him.
tangent.
Then he legit said, "I'm not going to follow you, and I'm not going to allow you to
Oh yeah,
be you."
can we just talk? So I was listening to someone this week, and they gave a definition of idolatry that I thought was really, really good. And she said that basically idolatry is elevating someone or something above your obedience to God.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So in that,
Okay.
with that example, if she had stayed,
She
Yeah.
would have put him above.
and what do you do with that situation?
Okay. But
Tough.
so that comes to our other. I know we started with the silly element of it, but if your friends are your community and the instruction is love your neighbor as yourself, and all of that, like back to that question, partner over friends, partner
Your partner,
over
not
community.
also your
Yeah,
neighbor too,
but
right?
if your partner is trying to elevate themselves over the command to love your community,
Yeah.
then who should your priority be?
Oh,
But are you not when you get married, your partner is you basically, is it not? When two becomes one, so you are one in that aspect.
That's a
So
fair
when
point.
you look at a community, you should look through one eye and say, we need to help this community, and now no one is above. You should not be thinking about
as in love your neighbor as as
Yeah,
yourself.
you
So
love
we
each
should
other.
be loving everyone else around us the way that we love each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's a good point, though.
It is a good point, Tolu, and I think
Dwayne.
no, I
Oh.
Bim, is there beef? Is there something going on? You don't want to give me my flowers? You don't want to give me my props? Jeez, man.
Some as well.
Like, do you know how rare it is for Rachel to say good point, Tolu? Do you know how rare that is? And then you try to rip it away straight
still
away.
waiting
Sorry,
for
I'm
mine,
sorry.
like,
You
legit.
Jeez.
I'm trying to get
I'm
the
sorry.
approval from Rachel
I'm sorry,
at one
I'm
point.
sorry.
guys, I
Will
approve
happen.
of all of you. Maybe with a little side eye sometimes. I approve. But no, I think it's a good point, and I think back to like what Bim was saying earlier. I think you need to make sure that that
Why are you laughing?
anyway, I feel like you need to make sure that you're with someone that's on the same understanding, especially like when it comes to like kingdom, right? And I think the reason why Steph and Pam would be like, nah, give it to other people, is because they understand that fundamentally.
Yep.
And I think some people might argue that I think there's an element of character to it, of like, this is just who you are. You're a very given person and selfless person. But also I think there is an element of just understanding the word and understanding why we're here and having a heart for the people around you. So when it comes to obeying God, especially in that situation, I think you can't afford to not be aligned going into marriage. Yeah.
Oh, wait, let me just also confirm, like with that example I gave with me and Steph, I do think your partner can have wisdom that might sound against it initially,
Yeah,
but it is actually wisdom. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's just
100%.
anything that sounds
100%.
contrary. You should still be working with your partner. That's what you want in your partner. That's what you want from a
Yes.
partner,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
challenge
Challenge
you,
you, yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
and all that stuff. So I did listen to Steph, FYI, on that particular occasion. I then begged her to change her mind, and then we gave it. So
That wasn't what I was referring to. I was
Okay.
referring to the £20 earlier that you mentioned, that if we had £20,
okay.
that's what I was talking
Okay,
about.
yeah.
I wasn't
yeah.
trying to drag
Okay, sorry.
Steph.
I need to protect my relationship these days.
I
man.
love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love
He's
it.
actually done quite well this one
We
so
hope
far.
that
He's
you will
done
be
well.
better.
Yeah, so speaking about idolatry, what other things do you think can make your partner an idol? Especially, let's just go back, because I think like we've been quite deep so far, but in the beginning stages of relationships, when you're first starting out, I think there is a very real risk of making this person an idol.
Yeah, above all, isn't it? Is like at the beginning, you're kind of like, you want to make that person your all, but then at the beginning of certain relationships, you kind of just like, it depends on, or I could say it depends on where you are in life itself. If you're looking for the one, because some people's relationships are not looking into being that person till the end. They're just looking at, here's one that I want to learn a relationship goal from, basically. And
Are we talking relationships or marriage? Because I think this
relationships.
Okay, cool.
because moving on, like, as in, if in a relationship you kind of get to know the person, really, like, but then it depends on if you're cutting off everything else around you, that then kind of like they become the be all.
Sorry. Oh my god.
Okay, just for
Oh my
context, so
gosh.
people know why we're laughing. A
Honestly,
bee literally
My-
came in through the
Oh my
window
gosh.
as soon
My
as
face
Dwayne
changed.
said, "Be all."
Oh my gosh. And I don't think he saw it.
I didn't see
You
it, but
didn't
I
see
saw
it?
him.
Did you see
That's
that
the
face?
Holy Spirit confirmed that. Let's listen to Dwayne, like what he's saying.
really?
Yeah. Let's listen.
Yeah, no, but as in, like, that's when I feel that they become the be all of your I can't see it now, can I? Yeah, they become everything for you.
Yeah.
That's when, like, when you start cutting every thing from your life. So work becomes different because you are now with that person continuously, and that's idolizing someone over everything. Work, your friendships, your family, even church. This person that you're getting to know might not even be going to church, and you're every week in church, and then it's kind of like they start to draw you away from church, and that's you putting them over
Yeah.
over God in a way.
So I agree, and I think that's quite an extreme sort of end of the spectrum in that this person is actively taking you away from God.
Yeah.
But what I feel like there's a fine line between like the early stages and being excited about getting to know someone and being infatuated. I don't know whether I feel like that's always used in a negative way, but like really
I feel that's
being
a
like
word.
infatuated with someone and really just like happy and giddy and playful, and just like they consume every thought and idolatry.
But don't you think it's something gets entrenched in that early stage? Because the people say start the relationship the way you want to end it. If you start the
Why do you wanna end
relationship, no, the way you want to continue it.
Yeah. Let's not end it like that.
Because I think some people, they start a relationship and they are giving their partner all the time in the world. They're giving them all the attention in the world. And then when they get serious, or they're going, or they're married and all that jazz, then it starts to become an issue if they don't keep that up. They don't prioritize them in certain ways, and things get entrenched. I actually think, no, we should be challenging how much we get carried away in those early stages as well. I'm not trying to like take away from all the giddiness and the feel. I was on the bed with my legs crossed, giggling on the phone
bed.
with Steph.
No, you hang up.
Yeah,
You hang up.
I did all of that. Like, so
Tony
not that, but I'm
Definitely
just saying.
did that, Tony.
I'm saying even in that stage, I do think that like there is value in you having a consciousness of this person is in everything. This person needs to. There is a space that this person occupies that is lower down from God, from the things that I think God has called me to, and all of that. Because then,
your dreams and everything.
Because then
you want to do, like, not even only just. I mean, sorry, I'm adding also your dreams, the things that you're trying to do, the things you're trying to achieve. Sorry, continue. I cut you off, but to add that little bit there.
I don't know. Next person.
Oh wow!
I can't remember.
No,
I've
you were
lost it.
saying that the person shouldn't.
I
Cut
think
you
I
off
was
from all of
ramping
those
down,
things.
to be honest.
No, you were saying that
Oh.
they should be lower priority than God.
Than God,
Like what God has
your-
called you to do.
Yeah.
There
So
should be
God
that
should be
consciousness.
relationships.
God should be above all.
So I was adding,
and then-
yeah,
Yeah,
your dreams, all those things.
I'm agreeing. There's no issue here. Yes, we're
okay.
saying.
No,
Oh,
No,
Okay.
we're saying, are you done with your?
I think so. Yeah.
Are you done?
Bim said,
sorry.
"Are you done? We move on."
Are you done?
Not like that. Not like
This is the most flack I've got for like not wanting to be on the
not
mic.
what I
And
meant.
it's
Sorry.
all him.
So funny.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think I
We
think
agree.
that it sometimes naturally happens and people don't know that it's even happening
Yeah.
most of the time. I think it might be alleviated if people spoke more about those times the way that we're talking about it now, and people actually, there's a lot of when we talk about relationships, sometimes we don't speak about this particular aspect. Don't lose yourself. That's an important thing. You like doing these things, do that thing. I found that I sometimes would
Sorry, I remembered what I was gonna say. So finish your statement and I'll say it. Sorry, carry on.
He's getting you back.
Guys, sorry, I had like a little twitch. But like it's very important to not lose yourself, and I think that that's something that sometimes comes with sometimes you learn that the hard way. I've learned it the hard way. Personally. I remember I did music for a lot. I do music, right? If you all know me. And I remember being in a relationship, and for that time that I was in that relationship, no one heard any music from me. Do you know what I mean? So like literally that kind of So
it stifled your creativity.
Stifled my creativity. It really, really did. But I learned from that.
Yeah.
But we need to make sure that we express these things to people so that they don't have to learn. They can just do it.
And that's the point I was going to say, because like that example we gave earlier on about the woman who had to go abroad and her husband wasn't on the same page. If at the early stages she had been communicating these kinds of, I think God is laying this on my heart, like this is something that's very important to me.
Wait. But Rachel said at the beginning, her dad wasn't a Christian. He became a Christian in the relationship, sorry.
Yes.
And then God would speak to him in the relationship. So this aspect wouldn't compute.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes life just throws you a curveball.
It's peak, man.
But-
It's peak out there.
But I think
Ideally, though.
as much as you can control it,
Yeah.
in the early stages of your relationship, like for that music example, like in that stage of the relationship, that should have been a red flag, which it was ultimately for you to say, is this person
But didn't really know because of him. Because sometimes I think we do it to ourselves, and it's not necessarily our partner demanding more from us or more time from us. I think it's just that excitement of getting to know someone new that sometimes distracts us from what we're supposed to be doing or the things that we enjoy. And I think we should be careful not to put it on the partner completely, because sometimes actually it's not them at all.
That's true.
Yeah.
But sometimes.
But like, I think this is where actually this should be something you are looking for in a partner.
Yeah.
Because your partner should be asking you
and stuff.
those questions about like, what are you trying to achieve? What should I be here to like support you with?
Yeah. Exactly.
How should I be supporting you? If you have a partner that's just there for the fun times and being around and going to cinema, then I think that should be an issue. And you shouldn't just be going with that.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that I think, especially the older you get, I think more likely you'll meet someone while you're doing things that you enjoy doing or while you're doing purpose, right? So really and truly, they should already know an element of this is who I am and this is what I do. So if they then begin to take you away from that or aren't encouraging of that, then yeah, I think that is like definitely a red flag. Yeah, it's interesting. And like when you said that you learnt the hard way, yeah, no, I feel you. I feel you. And this is literally why I've been like having a lot of these thoughts and these like conversations in my own head. So it's good to have it out here. But yeah, it's just so easy to lose yourself. And you only realize when things don't go well, because while you're in the process, you're having the time of your life, right? And you're like, okay, cool, it doesn't matter if I compromise on this, if I compromise on that, if I don't do this week, it's not that bad. But when you come out of that, if the relationship doesn't work out and you're just like, oh rah, who am I, like what do I enjoy doing, and it's just that process of like picking yourself up and rebuilding yourself, which isn't necessarily something that you should have to do, because if you're consistently doing the things that you love, obviously there's the element of getting over the relationship, but fundamentally you still know who you are and what you enjoy and what you like to do, and that shouldn't really go away.
Sorry, we had
Sorry,
a little
Instagram people.
malfunction.
Yeah.
I was just gonna piggyback off of what you said.
I'm waiting for it to fall on the screen here.
This it comes back to knowing who you are.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Like knowing
Gosh, I was
yourself
gonna say that too.
and not
Yeah.
allowing anyone to change your core, your essence.
Yeah.
Like who you really are should remain regardless of the environment that you're in, regardless of the relationship that you're in. And you know, the relationship that you're in, God willing, should enhance that, not like take that away or reduce who you are. So I think like, and we've mentioned this in prior podcasts, like before even getting to the relationship stage, just having an understanding of this is me, this is who I am, this is what I love, this is what I don't love, this is what I enjoy doing, these are my passions. Like just having an understanding of that will help you to not get lost in a relationship, because there are so many things to you that make you you without this with or without this relationship. This relationship is not you, it's a part of you, but it's not you. And you were a person, you were a complete whole healthy person before this person came along, so that should still remain and like continue even in the relationship. So I think that's a really important point, like just knowing who you are, that will allow you to keep things in check and balance where this person is in your life and prioritize.
Yeah. They're not completing you. You shouldn't see a partner as being somebody that completes you. They are adding to you, basically. They're an addition to you. So you shouldn't be leaning on somebody else. It's like exactly what you said. Nobody else should be your joy, if that makes sense. They can give you joy, but you shouldn't have to rely on that person in order for you to be happy, in order for you to be joyous. Like as in, you should be a joyous, happy person, and basically just have your own feelings and stuff, you know, and not put that on somebody else to give that to you, you know, because that actually gives that person a lot of pressure as well, and a lot of pressure on yourself too.
Can we talk about the broader part where we idolize relationships too much? Because I think that's a problem, because I think there's a lot of people, instead of pursuing purpose and dreams, they are pursuing relationship. Like for so many people, that seems to be like the next step in life after they've gone to school, got a job. Like that's the thing. And a lot of people aren't even thinking beyond that. What else beyond that? I think that's, you know, everybody should be doing what you just described a moment ago, Bim. But I just feel like that's not really, like, Dwayne, you and I are married. Did you really have a handle on your purpose before you got married?
No.
Like, how many people actually do this? How many people are actually really clear? Even you guys, are you crystal clear on it to be able to fully articulate it to a potential husband? Like, that's the thing, right? We say these things, but we don't actually practically do it. So when we then meet someone, we are susceptible to being swayed. And I think that's just a general issue around how we practice, like how we talk about relationships and idolize it. Like I said that time, I'm starting to think we do too much in terms of how we put all of this on a pedestal. And we could do with bringing it back down a notch and put in purpose and the kingdom where it needs to.
I'm just having flashbacks to that conversation.
It comes from, I think that we've spoken about the fact that in the church for years, that's what's been kind of shoved down our throats, and also in our community and our culture, culturally and stuff. You know, there's a video I watched. This girl, she was making like a reel. It was like a funny reel, right? And it was in school. Oh, you know, don't talk to boys. Don't talk to boys. Don't talk to them. Do your schoolwork. Do this. Do that. Then you get to like 21. You finish uni. Oh, I don't have a boyfriend. You're not married. Should we start looking for like after your 30s? Should we start looking for somebody for you? You know. So it's like culturally, the thought is school. Once school is finished, marriage. Like that's literally what is drilled into you. And so why wouldn't that be the thing that we just naturally think is the thing that we
And
have to
literally,
have
like,
next?
what is the thing? What is the thing that people talk about after that? There is nothing.
But
Oh, kids.
Yes,
Yeah,
kids.
but
in
that's
the
it.
relationship. That's
It's
all
just-
part of the relationship.
It's just
Kids,
school.
more kids.
Some people get a job. Some people don't even need that stage. It's just get married to a rich
Yeah.
guy or girl. But school, marriage, kids.
And then
And-
life is done.
And life is done.
Apparently.
Maintain.
Just coast.
Apparently.
Just
Maintain.
coast for the rest of it.
Yeah.
I think that narrative needs to change.
Yeah,
does.
yeah, definitely. Some other cultures are not like that though.
I think,
they
yeah, that's
like
very
push
specific
you.
to us.
It
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Some
yeah.
people push you. I know some people that I grew up with who went traveling. You know, before they even thought about marriage, they
stopped
went
school,
traveling.
travel.
I can't lie. I'm happy that actually I couldn't see it before, but I'm happy that I've had the time to kind of enjoy going out to go into Miami, doing all these fun things, and
We're talking
knowing-
about purpose. Tadio's talking
No, I'm
about
just saying, like-
I went
Tadio's
that
talking
club
about
that
I went
time.
saying
Yeah,
that.
I'm
that's
gonna rave
part
and
of
all
your
that.
purpose.
Vegas,
Living life, why
baby.
not?
Just saying, I was
Why
living
not?
life. You know what I mean? I'm happy that I've got the
Tad
opportunity.
said she was out here in these streets.
No, not the streets.
That will come up every
Not these streets. But no, like I had a chance to. When you're idolizing marriage and you think that everything should be, you've planned everything. We've all probably been there in school. Oh, by the time I'm this age, I would have done this. I would be this. Or da, 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 you know, things like that. We all said all of those things, and then when it gets to that time, it doesn't actually happen. It's like whoa. It's a shock to your system, and you actually go through a stage of thinking, oh my goodness, what? Like I've done something wrong. I'm not who I should. You doubt the person that you even are because now you haven't reached a milestone that you've been told all your life is a milestone you should reach by this stage, you know, and now
According to
every
who,
other
though?
stage after, exactly according to who, culturally, family, church, you know, whatever, right? Like that's how they make it feel, you know.
Yeah.
And so then now you're only fighting for that thing. You've not even enjoyed just being you and finding who you are. Finding who you are. So yeah, I am saying that from the other side, now that I am who I am now, I can see the benefit of not being tied down before because I was able to do something. And that's not to say that some people, sorry, not tied down. I just said tied down. I don't mean tied down like that, but I just mean not being, well,
Tied
yeah,
down.
tied down.
Let's say what it is.
I can't think of any
say
other
what
thing.
it is.
Tied down, B. Tied down. Let's say that as it is. It's not bad to be tied down. But yeah, like as in, I'm
That's
not
what- that
married.
was
I don't
your
have my
cues
kids.
To be like, yeah, no, it's not bad to be tied.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No, I mean, the thing is,
But yes.
the way you say the word being tied down, like, do I
It's not-
want to be
it's
tied
a
down?
No,
It's not
it's
the
not.
right way of
It's got
describing it.
negative. It's got negative connotation. It's not
I don't
supposed
feel
to
like-
have that.
I don't feel like
I
I'm
don't
tied
feel like I'm
down.
tied
Not
down.
tied down. You guys
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like just being married, right? Like you literally have a whole. Now
Commitment.
you have a commitment to somebody
Yeah.
else, and everything
Yeah.
you're doing, you kind of need to consult
Yes.
the other person
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
I
I'm not gonna lie,
don't-
that part is long.
Yeah,
That part
see,
is
so
actually long.
if you don't really have you're not married yet, you might have a relationship and you do probably consult that person. But you know, if you're actually just single,
Out in
you
the
really
streets.
don't need to do that. You can be like, oh, and even if you are in a relationship, you can just say, oh, I'm going to this place.
Yeah.
I'm planning a girls trip with my friends or whatever
See
it
you
may
when I
be.
see you.
You know, like I'm going away for 2 weeks, or if you are actually just single, I'm going to live in Brazil for a year. You can do that. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't have to really. There's nothing.
No tie downs in it.
you know,
have nothing
like-
tying you down to the spot.
I'm telling, like for real.
Let me tell you the thing that really ties you down. Kids. My God.
Exactly, because
They are the
after
worst.
marriage,
You know what?
after marriage is now the kids, right?
The
Yeah.
kids
So-
are what you have to pay the extra flight for, because you only paid for 2 before. Now you have to pay for number 3.
It's peak.
Yeah.
But kids are a blessing.
They are
That's
blessing.
what you
They
say.
are
Remember,
blessing.
your kids are
Oh,
listening
bless
to
It's
this,
like,
right?
let's balance
no,
this.
I can't
They're
understand.
I think kids become a blessing.
Totally.
When they start paying for their own way.
We need to have a real talks conversation. There are
Oh
some
my
days where it feels like, ugh, you're just inconvenient right now. Like, you know.
I want to
Anyways.
say something that Tony said earlier on that made me laugh hard.
Okay,
But
so
I
you're gonna
don't want
expose
to.
me
It
on
will
camera?
expose you on camera.
I'm not sure you should say it then. I'm not sure you should say it then. No, thank you.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
gosh.
I've even lost track of where we're So basically, we're talking about idolizing the actual institution of like being in a relationship,
Yes.
right? And basically, we said we shouldn't, and find your purpose, find who you are. But I wanted to have a conversation about compromise. One of the biggest things you do in relationship is compromise, right? And we've spoken about a lot of things that we probably shouldn't compromise on, that being your ambition, your obedience to God. But what are the things that we should be compromising on, guys?
Oh, I didn't say ambition. Like, I don't think ambition is part of those things.
Purpose.
Okay. Like, I think ambition as it relates to God, but some people have selfish ambitions out here that I think they need to compromise on, is what I would say.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about that then.
Let's
What
talk
should
about
you
that then,
compromise
B.
on?
Well, okay, first and foremost, I think if you want to share your life with someone, anything that would mean that you will not effectively be able to share your life, i.e. the person is either not willing to join you on that journey or anything like that, I think that should be brought to the table. Because there are like even simple things like I go club every night, like, yeah, all of those type of things. Now you will have another whole human being to think about. All of those things out the window.
So
That
do-
was part of the ultimatum, innit? Like, was it the ultimatum?
Oh yeah.
oh yeah,
That guy, he's like,
yeah,
but I party
yeah.
with my boys continuously. And it's like,
And she was
well,
like,
you're
no.
married now.
Yeah.
Don't do it. It was an ultimatum, innit? No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
It was, you know.
Yeah.
What's that guy called?
No, it wasn't.
No,
No, it wasn't.
It's
It
Love
wasn't.
is Blind.
Love is
Love is
blind.
blind. That's the one. Yeah, Love is
Jared.
blind.
Love is blind.
And the
yeah.
little-
Jared and the-
Jared.
Oh, but the
Yeah.
ultimatum, the black guy.
That went out on clubs and came
Yeah.
back at 8 a.m.
No,
That guy.
that
No,
was the
but
guy
that
that wanted
wasn't really-
to lift the experiment.
Who's Jared?
No,
Well,
this
was
is,
like
for the
different shows.
ultimatum.
I swear it was
no.
the
Jared was
No,
on.
no,
Love is
ultimatum was the
Blind.
guy that was like, oh, he went out because he didn't
They
get
had
the
an
love from the
argument or
relationship.
something.
He had to go out and find the
Guys,
love
this
from
is not
everywhere
what we're
else.
doing. This is
But
not
yeah.
what we're doing. What we're doing.
Yeah,
what
but
we're
you're,
doing, what we're doing, what
I
we're doing.
understand Tolu. Yeah.
What did Tolu even say?
No,
Yeah.
about the guy saying, "Oh, I'll club," and there's compromising. Like, yo, you can't.
You should
club
compromise on
every
that,
day.
Tolu
Yo,
was saying,
maybe club on a Sunday and
Okay,
Tuesday.
fine,
It was
fine.
Love
Club
is
on a
Blind.
Sunday,
It was Love is
Dwayne.
Blind.
That's a dead time.
Partying
I'm telling you,
into the
that's why it's
Monday.
chosen for that day. You got a club on a Sunday because I know it's dead in the club and you can't sin.
What?
God.
What is Dwayne saying right now?
Dwayne.
That's
Careful.
it.
I get
I'm
it.
sorry
Be
about that.
nice.
I understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
I think
On a
compromise, we need to like, there's different levels of compromise.
Yeah,
There
that was gonna
are,
be my next
yeah.
question,
I always
yeah.
say compromise is not always people. The problem is, right? People tell me if I'm wrong, because I always say people think that compromise means 50-50. I don't think that compromise is always 50-50. I believe that in a relationship, sometimes it's 80-20. Sometimes it's 0-100. And
Yeah.
you just have to
Yeah.
take the L.
Yeah.
Like, and if you understand that, you will be okay. It's when you think it's 50-50, we must agree that you will now be having issues because you're never going to always get 50-50.
No, you have to.
You
pick
have
the
to
bat-
take
you
the
have to
L
pick the
sometimes.
battles on that. You
Yeah.
have to pick the battles because you can't.
Yeah.
You like something might be brought to the table and you'll be like, but I want to do this, and it's like, all right, cool, maybe you can do it. We'll compromise on that. You do that, and then eventually it'll be like obsolete in the whole thing.
I don't want to go to a different conversation, but this is the whole argument around equality versus complementarianism in like between men and women in relationships and
I feel
marriage.
like he made that word up.
I might have used the
Please
wrong
explain
word,
it.
but like, you know, some people say man and woman are completely equal and they should be doing the same things in a relationship. That's equality. And then some people say men and women have different roles, different strengths, and you should kind of compromise in line with that.
Well, yes. In the different relationships, it might be that one person doesn't know, like the traditional roles for women in the kitchen, washing the clothes, doing this, doing that, cleaning, cooking, all those things. Those are the roles that people attain to be in traditionally for women, right?
Eddie, you kept those quotations going for
Sorry.
way too
whole-
long.
the whole-
The whole
The whole thing was in
sentence
quotation.
was in quotation.
Sometimes some people say this.
We get what you're saying, though. We get what you're saying.
My bad. But what I'm saying is that for your relationship, it might be that you're just basically do whatever works for your relationship. For some people, cooking is the thing that they like as a man or whatever. They're just a better cook, so they just cook. Or sometimes I like to put the clothes in the washing machine and you iron them, like, or whatever. I don't even like saying it like this because it just sounds like some things are for women and some things are for men, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like in your relationship, whatever your strengths are,
That's it.
you should just meet each other
Bring it to the
wherever
table.
your
I
strengths
just
and
think for
weaknesses
me,
are.
it makes so much sense. It seems like an ineffective relationship where you're not leveraging each other's strengths
Yeah.
and weaknesses.
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah.
what we are not saying is women should only do this, women
Yeah.
should
Yeah.
only be in the house,
Yes.
women should only raise the kids. But let's both look at our strengths and weaknesses and come up with the right answers. But
But
people
is there also a space for you to improve upon the areas that you're weak in? And like maybe if your partner's strong in the area of nurturing, she can help you strengthen that area. Or maybe if your partner's stronger in the area of cooking, he can help you strengthen that area so that you both are, helping each other and growing together, as opposed to you now just leave that person to do that because
100.
they're
As
the
far as
expert.
that is convenient for your relationship or productive or beneficial for your relationship, because I wouldn't say just do that for the sake of doing it, because that could be reduced to, okay, we have to be cooking equally, we have to be doing everything equally. Even if you're weak, I'll give you time to get there, but you have to get there. And I don't necessarily think that needs to be the case. There might be one person that it makes sense for that person to go and do. Maybe they have family commitments and they need to go take care of a family member. So this other person needs to take the L and cook for a little while. That's okay too.
Why is it an L?
Cooking is long. I don't like cooking. I think cooking is very long. But I do cook, just so anyone in / order.
I feel like Uber does a lot of his cooking.
Yeah.
Uber definitely
But
does a lot of
what if
Chinese
it was
cooking.
like in the area of like, your partner is very particular on, I don't know, like the cleanliness of the home, and it greatly upsets them when you don't put the dishes in the dishwasher or you don't put your socks in the laundry basket, and like those things can really
Daddy's looking so
you may
guilty
see
right
it
now.
as a very
What do you mean?
little
dare you?
insignificant issue, but to someone that may be like just the thing that would like tip them over the edge. So if those like little things your partner can kind of like coach you on, so that you get to a better equilibrium, is
Babe,
that not?
Do you know how peak this sounds? Like, I'm going to coach you to clean more.
But do you know why I say that? Do you know why I say that? Because some people seeing a home in like in a state or like a messy state really messes with their mental state.
Yeah, but then
and if
I'm
their
not
partner's
marrying you. I
continuously
can't marry someone
contributing
like
to
But
that.
you don't know that until you live with them.
What do you mean? Did you
Yeah.
not come and visit me when I
Yeah,
was
but
your
it's different
boyfriend?
when you're living
They cleaned all the
with
time
each
before
other.
you
No.
get there.
No,
I
like
think
people
you can
can
know.
pretend, you know.
Yeah,
I
they
pretended,
do.
but
Yeah,
after,
exactly. You just proved it
after a
our point.
while, like you could pretend for like the first month. Like, no. I think this is then this needs to be something you discuss. If you know that you're someone that is borderline OCD with cleanliness, then you need to disclose that. because I'm sorry. No, you do. I'm sorry.
And vice versa. If you know
true,
that
you
you
know.
are like so messy, like
No.
you can't.
No, but I
No,
feel like
because
no.
you
Wait,
need to
Tolu, I
disclose
feel
that
like
as well.
someone could tell you that. Oh, lol, I'm bored. No, not even lol, but like I'm borderline OCD with cleanliness, and you just be like, okay, lol, that's not. That
I ain't
deep.
saying lol
No,
to
no,
that.
no. There are some
I'm
people
saying
will be like,
sayonara because
no,
I
but
do not have time
like,
for that.
as in, if you've
got no
never
time for
lived
that.
with someone, I don't think you can fully appreciate the
Yeah.
extent of it,
No,
and you
it's
might
true.
not really understand how deep this is. With
I
that
think
person.
then-
But that should be part of
It's
your
true,
first
though.
conversation.
Well, see, this is back to our previous conversation
Yeah.
about intimacy. I think there's some of these things you just try and suss out because that is a big deal. Like,
No, it's true.
by the grace of God, Steph and I are at relatively the same level in terms of it. Steph is obviously a little bit more, but to a level that I can handle. But when I'm back with my mum, I hate it sometimes because of this reason. Because you're constantly on high alert. Constantly,
Yeah. Like
and
my
Like you're
mum.
walking
I'm not
around
on
just
it.
dusting behind you continuously.
I'm not on it.
No.
Like
That's like
I
my
don't.
mum.
You know, there's some people that need you to clean. When you're cleaning the kitchen, you're not just cleaning the counter and you're cleaning the
Everywhere.
windows, the fridge,
Yeah.
the
wiping down the
cabinet
cupboard
handles.
doors.
Yeah.
I have no time for that. So I think to help yourself not have to compromise too much, there's some things you can do early on to try and suss these things out.
So that's a deal breaker essentially for you.
100%.
Someone being too clean.
100%.
I think
100%.
Interested.
No. Swear down. Because like even now, yesterday, I wore like a mad faded t-shirt. My jogging bottoms had, you know, when you get them fluff on them. I just wanted to go for a walk, and Steph was like, "T, what are you doing, man? Like
No,
you're
bro.
representing me."
Bro, I got the same look the other day as well. Like legit. We went out and basically picked up a car, innit? And like Pam came out of the car, came out of the house in her Crocs, cool. Darius came out in Crocs. I came out in Crocs as well. Pam looked at me and was like, "Are you gonna? No, I'm gonna go change my shoes." I was like, "But why?" "Oh, we're gonna go pick up a new car. You gotta look presentable." I'm like, "For why? They're taking our money regardless." But I get you. Like,
I would
was like-
struggle to be with someone who expected
always
me
to be on 100.
to
Always
be
be on
presentable
point.
all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I
I
love the
don't
fact
want to
that
be
Pam-
presentable.
Like me and Pam got this
Sometimes
understandable.
I
I
don't
don't
want
want
to
to be
be
presentable.
Yes.
That's it. Walk out like
Rachel, I
that.
stand by that. I stand by that. Sometimes I just do not care. And I know people that cannot handle that. Let's talk about that earlier on in the
It's
relationship.
true.
I need you in
Lay
your
it all
Jordans.
out.
No, but
I
there's
need
a
you in your
difference.
chain.
Lay it
No,
all
it's
out.
not about being. I don't know, man.
I'm okay to walk outside like this. I hope you're okay with me.
There's a difference between like
I need you to not
not
walk two
looking
steps
like
behind me.
100%.
Okay, I always
And
look
looking like a
kept.
bum.
I looked
Look
kept.
decent.
I
At
didn't look
least.
decent.
Totally say sometimes he wants to look like a bum.
And like
and he
Steph
should be
is
allowed
right
to
when
do
she's
that.
like, "You're representing me." Someone's gonna see you and be like, "That's Steph's
Yeah,
husband."
okay.
man. Like,
Yeah. So I'm saying the point is in that situation, I should be willing to compromise to a point.
Yeah, I did. I went in and I put on
That's
other
Steph's
shoes
husband.
and stuff. I walked back in the house and I put on different shoes.
There you go.
Okay, guys, I want to bring it back because I think we spoke quite a bit about like domestic. Well, I don't know why we went to like domestic
Yeah, we
stuff
went-
really
we went-
quickly.
we went left.
Compromise.
Yeah, what other things should we be compromising on? And I know like there's a massive thing about but remember we're talking about relationship stages, right?
I think time is one thing that you
Okay,
can
cool.
compromise on, as in
Don't
the
spend too
time you
much
do on certain things. So like if you, before you were in a relationship and you love Xbox and all of that, you're banging Xbox every day, 5 hours a day. Yo, that's going to be a big compromise because that 5 hours could be you building your relationship with that person. And going back to our other conversation, you could have those more intimate conversations in that time that you would be, you know, taking out the ops. But yeah,
That's a good point.
Yeah,
That's a good
legit.
point.
And
I like that.
even time like that could be your. Tonight normally I would play Xbox for 5 hours. I'm gonna pay it for an hour, and then in that time we're gonna go cinema and dinner. for those other hours that I would normally compromise on those times.
It's good to hear you say that as a man.
But me, I don't bang game like that, so I'm good, innit?
Yeah, exactly. You said something you'd never have to do.
I was putting everybody else in hot water.
What about money, guys?
What do you mean?
What do you,
I don't know. What
explain
do I
that.
mean?
Now that
What do
explain
I
that one.
mean? I guess we're not really talking about marriage, but money in the sense of there's so many directions I could take this.
Yeah, for real.
Do you mean like ambition and where you
Or
want
is
to
it-
get to?
Or is it spending money
let's
on
just
the
talk
person?
about let's not even talk about spending money on the person, because I feel like that's a different conversation.
That's
We
a
might
big
be having this
different
We're having
conversation
that
in the
conversation
next
next
year.
week.
But in terms of, I guess, where you are now financially, I think we might be spilling over into next week's conversation.
No. Ask the question.
Yeah, so where you are now financially, can you compromise on that? If you have a certain vision for your life in the future and it requires you to have a certain amount of money, if the person you're with isn't there or isn't...
Level them up.
So
How do you mean?
Can I give you-
isn't forecasted to be there.
They're not forecasted.
They're not
to be there.
projected to
Help
be
them.
there.
Help them.
Okay.
That's what
Can
I'm
I'm not saying level.
So, but
Yo,
wait, you start with
you're not
I
level
hear
them up, but
you want to have this amount of money.
No, so
is it-
you have this vision for where you want your life to go.
Yeah.
If you're
With
in a
your
relationship
partner.
that's going towards marriage, and I assume hopefully you're both on the same page about where you want to be financially in the future when you get into marriage 10 years down the line, 50 years down
as
the
a
line.
unit.
As a unit,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
If your partner is currently in a job that isn't necessarily projected to go in the direction that would realize that,
Make money.
Is that a
yeah,
problem?
okay.
can you
okay.
compromise on that? Can you
It
lower your
depends.
standards?
It depends on where you are.
It depends on what their plan is, on what their goal is, because they could be in a job today, and then 6 months later is a different story, or it's a means to an end and it's part of their plan to get to something else. So I wouldn't say that automatically like writes them off. Like I would be exploring, okay, what is the plan? Let me understand where you're headed with this, and does it align? Like, does it actually fit into the bigger picture? Because I think sometimes we can be quite superficial and we say, oh, he's earning X amount. Oh, no, don't really want to go there. Don't really want to explore that. And you may be shooting yourself in the foot, because people evolve, people grow, people,
This guy had a little app on the side, and now
like he could be
blown
working
and-
on these passion projects that, is going to look completely
But
different.
the
Can I just-
question
2
is,
years'
how
time.
much do you value potential?
that's actually true. You are getting
that's-
into a
that's the
relationship with
question, isn't it?
potential, and
Can I,
That's a
and
good
without
question.
trying to like
I value it
go
if
to
you're on it.
Yeah.
Go on, Tolly.
If you're on it, because some
Yeah,
people are
because
not. and they're
I'm
just-
somebody who.
sorry.
Sorry.
no, go on.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Sorry.
that's why you're not on camera.
Listen, I'll compromise. Carry on.
No, because it's important to clarify
Yeah.
the potential, because potential it's a slippery slope, because someone could be saying they've got the potential, but they're not taking any steps, they're not taking any actions, they haven't shown that they're actually actively walking towards that potential.
You're just the one who's seen the potential in them, but they
Yeah.
don't have any
They
desire
haven't actualized
to do anything.
Yeah,
So,
that's different.
Yeah, if you are somebody who has this potential, you have these dreams. I feel like I'm somebody who is willing and happy and excited to build your dream with you. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of position that I like to have in a relationship. I want you to be doing something, because I'm doing things too. So I want us to be building an empire together, building in our lives, building towards the kingdom, building in the things in our dreams, goals. And let me have something. I want to support you. Like, I really want to support you in what you're doing,
Yeah.
because that makes me happy. Because if that's what's going to make you happy, I'm happy, So let's do this. How can we make this thing be great? How can we align this thing? If I meet somebody, like, that energizes me. But then you do have some people who are just not energized. I've met people who are just not energized. Like, they're literally just so happy and content to be where they are.
Yeah, but that's
And
different.
it's different. It's not bad.
If you're not,
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
and I always look at those people and I'm like, oh, but you're doing this now. And I'm like, oh, you can own this company now. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I always think bigger. Like, oh, you can do, but I'm cool, you know.
Yeah.
Let them tell you what they want to do with their
That's
life.
it. Yeah.
So I think just back to your question about what should you be willing to compromise on in a relationship. I think you should be willing to compromise on everything. Like, you need to go in. I don't think there's anything off the table. The reason I say that is we just said a moment ago, God first, right? God is in your relationship. There's biblical instruction. You should be willing to give it all up. So in a relationship, you don't know what's going to happen. Rachel, your dad, out of nowhere, God put this on his heart that he should become a pastor. Your mom could make the decision before going into a relationship, I never want to be with a pastor. But I think if you make that decision, you might be stopping yourself from following the leading of the Holy Spirit or God in a relationship when something happens. So I think the safe way to go is, okay, I'm submitting to God in every aspect of my life. There's nothing I'm not willing to compromise on for God, right? So in a relationship, I need to be willing to compromise on everything as long as we pray about it, we agree together, and if we feel that it's something that God is leading us into. So whenever any situation comes up where the person says this or that, and I'm even talking about trivial household matters, because there were some of those things Steph and I had to pray on, you know? You take it to God, and I'm not trying to be religious about this. Like, this is a very practical thing.
Yeah.
Like, how do we actually enact this thing? How do we actually make this work? Because I don't think going into the relationship with anything that you wouldn't be willing to give up is necessarily a good thing.
I heard
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Ooh.
No challenge.
Surprise.
Is that not what you
Today has
want?
been a weird day, boy.
I agree.
Interesting. I don't know what. I'm too used to argument. Like, I want you to say something so I can
I
fight
don't know.
back.
As you're saying it, I'm like, yeah, I agree. But I don't know. I can't articulate this, but there's something about that just doesn't fully sit right with me, which is why I haven't, like, I'm still trying to formulate my thoughts here. But I think fundamentally you're right. Like, you should go in with an open mind about the little things in life that arise, because at the end of the day, none of us know the future, right? So if things happen, and I guess are still, you know, in the remits of like God's will, then yeah, be willing to compromise on those things. But I think there's just still things that, even like things like outside of like the will of God, like just knowing who you are, time apart. I think, I don't know, I feel like you should be able to like not, I don't know, I feel like there's still certain things you just shouldn't compromise on.
So you just said, like, outside of the will of God,
I know.
you are. I would say all the words you just said need to be in the will of God.
Yes, we know.
But that's the problem, Rachel. I'm not trying to pick on you, because, like I said, we're all guilty of this. We say these things in theory, but in reality, who are we looking out for? Whose priorities are we at? Whose ambitions are we planning for? Are we planning for kingdom? Are we planning for me and my money, or me and my well-being, me and my future? Like, I think it's not a judgment thing, because we all do it. Like, I think it's very difficult not to do, but that needs to be where we all come back to. It's actually, I'm not living for myself alone anymore. And I'm not living for my partner alone. There's a third party in this relationship, and we're both living for that party who has our best interest in mind. And we need to kind of just operate from a trust position in that regard.
Yeah.
So I wonder whether maybe step one needs to be to challenge yourself and ask, are there any bits of ambition or bits of your life that you're not willing to compromise on for even God? Like, that's something that we need to just challenge ourselves on in the first instance.
Do you know what? I think that's it. I think like I think everyone has a certain like vision of like where their life is going to go, right? And I think the thing that I'm struggling with is just I know there's just certain things that if God asked me to do, I'd be like, bro, like I'm just not doing that. So I think that's what it was. That sounded just like I get it in theory.
Yeah.
But that's what it is that I'm struggling with, because I wanna believe that ultimately I will obey. But there are just certain things that I know fundamentally is not me. It's not what I want for my life. I don't want stress. Like, do you get what I mean?
Like anyone who says they're not, you know, in the same.
Away,
When we talk about God, I think I should refer to people as sis and bro. Anyways, like sometimes I feel guilty singing that song. Yes, yes, I'll go wherever you tell me to go. Because there's some places I won't go.
I don't know that song.
Right now. I actually remixed 2 songs together.
Yeah.
It was actually a remix.
I thought that the
of
yes,
2
yes
songs.
was yes.
It was. The yes part was that. And then the I'll go is Yes by Shekinah Glory.
Okay.
So anyways, I didn't want copyright. Do you know what I'm saying? So I was remixing it. So yeah. But no, so Rachel, I do think that that's a very important place for us to end up. If we're going to take an action away, that's a conversation we need to reckon with in ourselves before you can have that conversation in a relationship. Otherwise, you're just going to struggle with it and create headache for yourself in a relationship if you haven't really like dealt with that. And it's okay if the answer is I'm not there yet. So that you know when you get into that kind of debate with your partner, you know that I'm not there yet, and you can't make that decision with your partner either.
Yeah.
So,
and I think the truth of the matter is, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, like majority of us are not there yet.
100.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good chat, guys.
Mm.
Does anyone have anything else to say before
Any
we bring
closing
this?
thoughts? No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Closing
We didn't
thoughts?
interact with anyone
I
listening
know,
at
I
all
know.
today, guys.
I know.
I know. Sorry.
It's all good. Hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. I
feel like
enjoyed it.
people have been there throughout.
Yeah.
Drop your comments if
Yeah.
you have anything before we sign off.
Yeah. So I mean, we've just continued on the relationship
one.
series.
Yeah.
And just spoken about priorities basically and compromise. Next week we're going to be talking about money and dating.
Ooh.
Which next week, 2 weeks time. Controversial. I'm hoping it gets controversial. Tolu's making a face like he's done something wrong.
Oh no, like I put an end screen, but I didn't add any mics to it. So we just dropped off for a few seconds.
Oh, okay. Awkward.
Technical things. Carry on.
So nothing I said was
No. Sorry for like 2 seconds.
okay, cool.
Two seconds.
Well, in that case, we're gonna end the podcast here. Thank you everyone for listening. Hopefully see you guys in 2 weeks. And
Cynthia. Hey,
hey,
Cynthia.
Cynthia. Brit, tell a friend to tell a friend. Definitely money and dating is always going to be a very juicy conversation.
yes.
Money and
So-
dating.
That's gonna
Yeah.
be juicy.
Yeah.
Can we do money dating in marriage as well? Because
Oh yeah.
it spills over.
Yeah, I guess
Alright,
Yeah,
it does.
let's
It
do
does.
it.
It does.
Yeah.
Please don't forget our socials. Please follow us and subscribe. Click the little bell as well. On all platforms, it is the Eden Ideal. Whatever it says on the screen that you're watching us on right now. If you type that into anywhere, you will see us. And also, we do have audios on Spotify
Apple Music.
and Apple Music and all, audio platforms. So you'll hear conversations that we've had before as well, and these conversations too. So if you want to just listen to the audio too, and you don't want to see our faces, it's cool. But
That's peak though, isn't it?
I mean, it is big, but you can listen to the audio too if you kind of want to be on the go or something. But yes, that's the socials.
Yes. Thank you
guys for joining.
Thank you all
Thank you,
so
guys.
much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.